So for those of you who are listening in, you can hear another voice in with me. And for those of you who are watching in, we should look at the camera though, not my screen. Camera,
I'm gonna look there.
screen. You're going to look there?
I'm going to look there because I want to see the beautiful Andrew.
Well, Andrew is, I'm going to be doing this a lot. I'm going to be like side-eyeing, but in a good way.
Okay. How dare Andrew cover his camera? I want to see your beautiful face. This is why I came here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fact checker Mahale is in the studio, just for the Mahale of it. And as a celebratory response to that, I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to kick it off right now. We have...
Be careful, it's confined space.
Some homemade mead, Utah's
some homemade
Dancing
maple
Bees.
syrup.
Homemade maple syrups. I'm going to pop it. Ooh.
Had a nice pop.
Give it a smell. Give it a smell. You like mead, right?
Yeah, I love mead.
So we're gonna have
You're
some
doing
mead in the studio.
Doing a
tonight.
review. So it's
We're
going to
doing
be
a review of the mead, of Utah mead.
It's going to be a BTP podcast episode while Josh and MorShadi review mead.
BTP.
BTP. BTP
Yeah,
mead
see.
review.
Get out.
Is that about half? Let's get this even. Let's get this even.
Let me put my mug up next to yours.
Your mug up to mine, my mug to yours.
Indeed.
These are some pretty attractive mugs,
Aren't
wouldn't
they?
you
They are
say?
frosty mugs.
They are so frosty.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
BTP
Cheers.
would like to take this moment to remind everybody watching or listening to only consume any alcoholic beverages if you are legal age and responsibly.
So this is a drier mead.
Indeed.
It's not as sweet.
How do you make mead in the dryer?
Any what?
How do you make mead in the dryer?
Well, you generally
You wouldn't
start,
but
but the
punching
dryer,
your co-host
Indeed.
in the balls.
and also
Not
use
nice
a
to say to
dryer
MorShadi.
that's broken. Wait, I'm a co-host now? Yes! Fuck you, Daniel!
Yeah. Also, I'd like to point out MorShadi's here on the night that Daniel's not here. It seems their beef continues. I have
Well-
not chosen sides.
Well, if Daniel was here, then no one would ever see this again.
The curse continues.
Let me start off again. We're the Black Tower
Yeah.
Podcast. We're taintier, we're badder, and we're more shoddier. Does that one work? Is that a good take?
That works.
That's a
That
good
works
take.
a lot better.
We're going to chalk that one up to jokes that Josh tells that he
Jokes-
doesn't really mean to tell.
Jokes that
We're gonna
Josh
chalk
tells
that to,
me
like,
that he can't
Over
because
caution because
like-
people don't listen to everything somebody says or use context in
And
listening
we
to anything
don't
anybody
want
says.
to get canceled.
Yeah.
No,
But
but
yes,
it's Black Tower
welcome
Podcast.
It's another episode. I am your Bajan Mahale, Andrew. I almost forgot my own name. I'm a little on the tired side, but W's got me covered.
Yeah, get your W out.
Yeah,
Whip it out.
Is
Whip
that-
out your W.
yeah.
Show us your W.
I will later on. We'll see if they're fully back in stock. They thought March. So if you've been trying to order stuff from W and you
Yeah.
see that it's pre-order, they thought they'd be back in stock by March. We'll see. And when they're back in stock, we'll probably fully plug them again. But if you want to check it out anyway, link in the description below or show notes or
If you
wherever.
do get some, tag us on Twitter and do a hashtag show us your W.
if you want to try some right now, you can get the Dragonade flavor. They have like the starter kit. There's a mixer bottle and 2 like sample packets of it, so you can at least try it to see if you even
That's
want to
true.
spend the money on it. But it's pretty
That's
good.
true.
Really like it. I say we're gonna like not plug them yet, and then pretty much plug them
And then
anyway.
we just basically plugged it. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, go
I'm your
check it out.
Sorovan Mahale, Josh, and my guest today with me,
is the fact checker, man.
the fact checker Mahale. You're going to see him do this a lot. You should have done it. Where were you earlier, Dick? Man.
I'm not fact checker. Yeah, I'm not going to bring it up again because I don't want to give Andrew too much to do on here.
That's fine.
But no,
I always
it's-
have plenty to do regardless.
Who are we plugging tonight? I forgot.
They're new. Well, they're not new, but they're new as in their name.
Oh, that's right. So if you see, that's why I wore this shirt. Yeah. So remember, look at this shirt. You think it's pretty? You think it's beautiful? That's because it is pretty and beautiful. And I designed it with the help of the supremely talented Jen. at newcreationsbyjen.com. Go to newcreations.
New Creations by Jen.
And then go there. She's got a full section of so many Wheel of Time content creators that have amazing merch ideas. This is one of ours. We have a store on there as well. That is where you can get one of our attractive BTP Frosty mugs. Get yourself a Frosty mug. Get yourself a shirt. Get yourself a hat. Get yourself a pin. Whatever you want. Get it. Wheel of Time. It's going to be awesome. After you're done on New Creations by Jen, actually, newcreationsbyjen.com has a link to it on our website at blacktowerpod.com. You get right at Black Tower Pod, right at the top middle. There's, go to our merch, and there's New Creations by Jen's right there. So you can click there and go there and see all the things. It's a true story.
Yes, you can. It's pretty dope. And if you're like, well, I already have a bunch of content creator merch, or you guys randomly send me stuff because I'm a Patreon, you can check out Rob's like souvenir series where he's made a bunch of things like Hindersnap bed and breakfast, the Wine Spring Inn, Patton Fanes goods, a whole bunch of stuff. Go and check it out. Rob and Jen do an amazing job, and we can't say that enough. Fantastic people to work with. And if you're looking for something a bit more custom, they do a lot of custom work in general, not just for Wheel of Time. So check them out, and you can get in communication with them to figure out if they are the option for you. Spoiler alert, they are. So do it. And then tell them what we told you to do it. Or we'll bring 13 people to change your mind.
Ooh.
Otherwise, the Black Tower podcast is going to have to go back to get that Amazon daddy money. So.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah. For every Frosty mug you buy from New Creations by Jen, we get to resist Amazon for 30 more seconds.
Help us help you.
Yeah. The last
Black
check didn't
Tower
clear the
doesn't-
bank.
The Black Tower doesn't protect unless you do. I don't know. We'll work on it.
I don't know.
But
anyway,
the product condom for them that they would want to be for you.
there you go.
It didn't turn out very
Protect
well.
us as we protect you.
Yeah.
It works.
This is the reason why I'm not on the podcast all the time.
Like a phalanx.
Yeah.
Protect
There you
the
go.
person to your left, knee, thigh to shoulder.
That's right.
Yeah.
So also blacktowerpod.com has links for our Discord, which you're definitely going to want to be in. If you're listening to us live right now, we reminded you last episode, if you're listening to this publicly on like YouTube or Podbean or anywhere else you can find any podcast, because we're fracking everywhere. Somehow we finessed the system, I guess. On the 15th of March, we will have live to everyone in our Discord, a live recording session with a fantastic guest who you will find out who it is on the 15th. But trust me, you don't want to miss it. I guarantee you know exactly who they are if you're interested even remotely in anything Wheel of Time. So go ahead and start guessing now, and then you can find out how right or wrong you are on the 15th live in our Discord.
Gets bragging rights.
Yes. So go ahead and check that out. And if you want to be able to listen in and kind of live chat with us while we're live recording every other time, you can go ahead and join our Patreon. There's a link on blacktowerpod.com. There's pretty cool things. You get like stickers and merch and all that different kind of stuff, depending on how kind you want to be with your support. True. In fact, patrons today, at least 28 of you, within the next week to 4 weeks, depending on if you're overseas from the US, you'll be seeing a special little book with all kinds of tainty recipes coming your way. Those are sent out today, March 1st, as promised. So go check out all the stuff and just enjoy more of our stuff. I don't know. It's like really
just
awkward ending to
just spit it out.
self-promo. I don't know. That's all I got for that. But it's not all I have for everybody else. So we're going to go ahead and give you your spoiler warning so that as we move into fully talking about the Wheel of Time, you don't have to worry about getting spoiled. Here you go.
Don't get spoiled.
Welcome to the Black Tower.
Yeah.
This is your spoiler condom. If you have not read the complete works of Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time, books 1 to 14, and also New Spring, big bad book of white art, and the companion, you are at risk of being
We're gonna have to
spoiled.
change that.
Spoilers
a new
come with
Wheel of
side
Time.
effects. These side effects may include headache, nausea, vomiting, death, dizziness, vaginal or penile eruptions and ejaculations, dysentery, cardiac arrhythmia, mild heart explosions, varicose veins, darkened stool, darkened souls, more vomiting, arthritis, hemorrhoids or diabetes, virginity, mild discomfort, vampirism or werewolfism, gender inequality for the whole planet, spontaneous dental hydroplosion, sugar highs, even more vomiting, or maybe just a mild rash. If you cannot deal with these side effects, please leave now for fear of spoilers. You have been warned.
You heard it here first, folks. You have been warned.
For one and only warning.
Now, I like that we were talking earlier.
Until the next
about-
episode where we warn you again.
Until the next episode. Where we warn you again.
And then the one
I
after
like-
that.
That we were
The one
talking about
after that.
combat and the phalanxes and things like that because it provides an excellent segue into tonight's episode, which is MorShadi. You want to tell them?
I have no idea. They didn't tell me, so I'm going in raw.
Oh! You see it? I see it. It's right there. He's got it. He's got it right there. That's the book.
Yeah.
That's right. He put it. It's
Yeah,
now.
it's
Okay,
behind,
so it's behind him.
it's behind Naruto.
Yeah. It.
There's your picture. The books are real.
I'm not ever going to see that because it's behind Naruto that has way too many episodes.
One Piece has way too many episodes.
No, it hasn't finished yet, so
Oh.
you can't say that it has too many episodes yet.
They all have too many episodes.
Yeah, it's true.
But you know,
Tonight
we
we're
don't have enough
talking-
episodes. The Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time
That's what
season
we're
1
supposed to talk about.
and season
Allegedly.
The Wheel of Time.
Season
Tonight-
2, 34 episodes a season. Let's
Oh,
do
that'd
it.
be
Let's
great.
go.
I'm in. Let's go. Rafe, make it happen. Jeff, my Basie buddy. I call him my Basie buddy because me and Bezos are,
Yeah.
toit. No, tonight we're talking about the Wheel of Time, a subject specifically within the Wheel of Time. I love kind of drawing it out like this. I feel like people listening are either really annoyed right now or laughing. And if you're laughing, you're non-existent. You're really annoyed right now.
I mean, if we
The
go
Green
by
Ajah.
comments, we only get like one negative comment per 23 minutes of apparent nonsense. So we haven't quite
Hey.
hit 23 minutes.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah.
I guess so.
I'm gonna call it a good ratio. I'm looking on the positive side. The Green Ajah, the Battle Ajah, the Ajah to stand against the Dark One in Tom and Gaidon. That's what we're discussing tonight.
Yeah.
I love the Green Ajah.
Yeah, that Ajah, that's fine.
That's a good.
I mean, they're also by numbers the most corrupted Aja in the White Tower.
I no, because the Black Ajah doesn't
they are.
exist. That's a myth.
Oh, okay. I see where you're
It's a
going
myth.
now.
It's a myth.
It's okay.
It's like
It's a myth.
it's like
It's-
is
they've
it
been
like
cleansed out.
chemtrails? It's a conspiracy theory.
That's right. It's chemtrails.
The Black Aja is the chemtrails of the Wheel of Time. It's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
Oh yeah, for the most part. Which it's they've made it kind of interesting because in the TV show, since we can talk about that, because if you haven't watched all 8 episodes yet, what are you doing?
Get out of here and go watch
or
it.
at least 7 episodes. I mean, at the very least.
I only acknowledge 7.5 episodes.
So we talked about last time the Blue Aja, and we mentioned when we talked about them that they're historically very close allies with the Green Aja. So with that, the show has taken an interesting kind of take on it, but they've also shown how surprising it is by having Lyanna of the Green Ajah side a bit with Leandrin when they're being scolded by the Amerlin Suan. So it's very interesting. I like how they included that dynamic.
Yes.
And it was a way of like showing that it was shocking without having all the time to build up like the kind of inner politics of the White Tower.
Yeah.
But
Do you know what else I'm loving about it? Just kind of focusing on the show. What I'm loving about Lyanna right now is that they've done the same thing with Lyanna that they have done with Leandrin. And they have made her so much more of a character that we love. And Lyanna, she has one very bad moment in the books. And there's a whole story around it, and we can dive into that if we want to, but this is not an Lyanna. That's for the Lyanna episode, which is coming in the future. But in the show, so in the books, of course, as we know, is the Green Ajah is the only Ajah to take more than a single warder. Not everyone does it, but some of them do. And in the show, Lyanna has two.
I don't know if it's ever like said that like they're the only ones.
I think it is.
Like there's a lot of things like in the Wheel of Time that aren't done as absolutes. They're very anti-Sith in some of their ways. Because like the Red Ajah, like in the books, the Red Ajah typically doesn't take orders. But
right.
There have been ones that do.
There are a few exceptions.
I'm trying to lighten the load on MorShadi and try to catch some things before because eventually he's going to hit a point where he's just going to reach over and smack you, and then I'm going to have to do all kinds of censoring and everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, when it comes to that, any rule outside of the oaths are more cultural within the Ajah
guidelines than actual rules.
But they're in the sense of, yeah, you just don't do that, and because of the way the structure is within the White Tower, you're told what to do, and if you're told what to do, then it is exactly that, and you get compounded year after year. Eventually, yeah. No, with the exception of the Greens, everyone only has one warder.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I can walk that back. It's not like a rule or anything like that. Yeah. But traditionally and historically, the Green Ajah are the only ones to participate in the practice of having bonded more than one warder.
It's the cultural norm of the White Tower.
They are the only ones who practice polywardery.
Polywardery. And throwing it out there real quick for like a poly appreciation for Lyanna and the two warders. That was so cool. I don't know of another major TV show in which the sort of that like a poly throuple is so casually and so well done.
Yeah, no, nothing mainstream. I haven't seen anything
comes to mind.
That comes to mind. That's not put in a negative light or in a neutral light. That was done extremely well.
Yeah. I mean, it pseudo happens in anime, but that's more of like a harem thing, which is its own niche, kind of separate. And generally that's not like necessarily polyamory. It's more just like you have a bunch of people that like one person. It's like, you have to decide. And we'll spend the next 60 episodes having them not decide, even though they clearly have a favorite. Because anime. But because anime. That's a lot of the reason things happen. So yeah, the Green Ajah, also known as Zebatal Ajah, their whole kind of mantra, while everybody else is like, we're going to make sure all the agreements and the treaties are good, or we're going to go collect intel for everybody, or we're going to go take down all the evil, dastardly channelers in the world. They're just like, we're just here to fight. And that's what we're ready for. I mean, it is literally the fight of the age, but
I feel like it's safe to be like the Green Ajah, like when the White Tower is being founded, the Red Ajah was like, we got to do something about them mans. And the Blue Ajah was like, we got to do something. And like the White Ajah was like, we must be logical here. And the Gray Ajah was like, we've got to get the nations to stop warring with each other. And the Yellows were like, we have to solve disease in the world. And then the Greens were like, I'm here to fucking fight. And everybody was like,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, like how every Aja gives like their tantamount leader of the Aja like a specific name. So like the blue Aja has the first selector. The green Aja is literally a captain general.
the captain general. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. But they've always been the second largest Aja after the Reds. So since the founding of the White Tower. But the Red Aja has been the largest by far historically, but over the last several hundred years in the books, that kind of gap between the size of the red and the green Aja has significantly narrowed, more so on the side of the red Aja shrinking in size, and all of the Ajas kind of shrinking. So by the time of Galina's prophecy in New Spring, there's roughly 180 to 190 members of the green Aja compared to roughly 200 of the red Aja. So it's not a big difference. I mean, power wise, it could be depending on like how strong they are, obviously, but
Right. Well, and you know, it's an interesting dynamic for an Aja, because one of the core components of being an Aes Sedai is to basically not be a warrior. Like, you know, we're not going to use the power as a weapon. We're not even going to allow ourselves to make something with the power that can be used as a weapon. They're bound by the 3 O's in that way, except of course for, you know, against Shadow Spawn and in defense of their life and their warder and another sister. Cool. That's great. The green Aja was like, yeah. We're going to be okay with that. I want to learn how to kill all the things. And that's kind of what they do.
Technically, they can make quarterstaffs, but they have to believe they're walking sticks.
They have to believe it very firmly. Yes.
Yeah. Like, no, we made a walking stick, but if you choose to use it as a weapon, you know, then you do you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to their dismay, though, the Green Aja winds up with the highest known concentration of Black Aja sisters.
Yes.
At,
Sadly,
38. However, only 6 are ever like, we only ever learn the identity of 6 of them in the actual books.
Right. What was the disparity between the Green Aja and the Red Aja? I'm gonna look that up.
Like number wise?
Yeah, how many?
It's like
10 to
only
20,
50%.
roughly.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you mean between like how many?
yeah, so the Red Aja.
Black Ajas?
So the Red Aja had how many Black Aja hiding among them?
They had let's see. Okay, we have a discrepancy here.
20s.
So if the green, okay, we got a discrepancy in some of the source material, or not the source material, but some of the references we're using, because according to what.fandom.com, Green Aja has of 38, at least 38, and the Red Aja had at least 48, around a quarter of the entire Aja. So according to what.fandom, it actually would be the Red Aja that has the highest concentration, though we only ever learned the identity of 5.
I just found it. It says that the Ajas proportionally had also, the Red Aja had proportionately the greatest concentration of Black sisters with at least 48.
Yeah. So almost an entire quarter of the Red Aja.
Yeah. So that's significant.
Yeah.
But
such notable figures as Galina Casbin and Leandrin Garal.
Yes. And not Elida. Elida wanted to be Black sister, but they rejected her. They were like, "You suck."
That's what makes Elida. Yeah, what makes Elida so like actually evil. Doesn't have the excuse of being a dark friend, but that's a slightly different episode.
She wanted to start her own, her own shit. So
her own.
To be her Elida friends.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out.
Elida friends.
Yeah.
But Elida has no friends. I feel like that's a Smeagol moment. So there's having friends allowed her. She's like, I'm Amarilyn now. Let's build a big palace. And I can invite all my friends because everyone's my friends.
To be fair, I will fact check W. To be fair, that palace plan started when Siwan was there.
Fair.
It wasn't meant to be a palace,
I just,
but it did get started then. So just saying,
it was repurposed,
It was
under
repurposed.
for all of her
for
friends.
all of her friends. No one ever moved in.
But this is about the Green Ajah.
Nepotism at its finest.
Nepotism.
Every other Aja gets this puny tower. We'll take the Red Palace. There's like one bad acid trip away from being the Queen of Hearts.
Oh my god.
Those of you that don't know, that's Alice in Wonderland.
Hey, I do it. Another interesting thing about the Green Ajah, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Green Ajah leader is the only one who has advisors.
Yeah, they have
The rest of them had like
tactician.
sitters, and then there's the first strategist and the first tactician, who are advisors to the captain general. And like the other heads are like the head. They're the head of the Ajah. They do their thing. I'm sure they have advisors, but their advisors are not titled in the book series. If you know of a title, drop it in the comment below. That'd be awesome.
Crown of Swords.
You're a Crown of Swords. What are we
That's
talking
the
about?
title.
Crown of Swords? Ha! I'll slap you, sir.
How dare you? Mr. Beauregard, I do declare.
You know, it's interesting. Okay, so here's one thing I wanted to see from the Green Ajah that I didn't. There are, in other Ajahs, they have specialty weaves, right? That they're taught as a member of an, like the Green Ajah, I figured would have
Weaves.
weaves.
Okay.
Specialty weaves.
I would think that the yellow Ajah would have that other word.
Maybe, I don't know. And so for when I was looking for like specialty weaves that were special to the Green Ajah, that only the Green Ajah knows, that, you know, blah blah blah, I didn't see any. And I'm a little surprised by that, because I would think that as the battle Ajah, that they specifically trained to use the one power as a weapon against Shadow Spawn. Why they should know what death gates are.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, like Matt's daggers posted in there, and that's actually, if I was at home just listening to this is exactly what I would say. The Green Ajah is ineffective as shit. Mainly because of probably two reasons. One is they've essentially sat on their title of the Battle Ajah since the last breaking.
Right.
Two, they're actually an Ajah that doesn't stick around the tower a lot. So they don't, despite having a military structure, they don't stay around. They go out and do things. If you look in the encyclopedia, it actually says that if they are held to be at the tower or told to be at the tower, they consider it a punishment. So they don't like sticking around. They don't like being around. Which means that it's bad for information gathering. So if there's any actual special weaves, they likely don't share it.
I mean,
And so, you know, of course, it doesn't get brought up a lot of.
Well, I mean, you also have the White Towers, like pre Egwene, inherent seeming aversion to combat oriented weaves in total.
yeah.
So like none of the Ajahs like they learn how to like make fire and do different things. Normally like playing to the kind of inherent strengths to some degrees, but you know, learning other stuff, because it's kind of implied that Moraine learned some of her more combative weaves by being out and about and either just figuring it out,
Right.
or being taught by, you know, a Green Ajah sister, or, you know, by just encountering other channelers. Because of course, in the books, and we'll see if it rings true in the show, like female channelers can see the weaves of other female channelers. So if you can see it and watch what's happening, that's how most people learn how to do different weaves.
I
So
can see that.
Um,
Well, and
so we'll
and
see if
they're-
they keep that. But yeah,
where they are the Ajah that conducts combat with the power, there might just be too many to really list off. And where you're saying where they're so fragmented. They all go off and do their own thing.
There might be
There's
a
one
bit of a restriction because of the oaths, saying to not use the one power as a weapon, except in these cases. They, depending on how they see it, they may not be able to actually practice combat weaves, because if they see that as using it as a weapon, even in training, then the three oaths, the third oath would bar them from practicing,
See that?
upheaving an entire landscape with flows of, air, or freezing people with flows of,
God,
air and water.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting.
Like saying here, you're going to go out for range practice in the military and you're going to shoot at the target with blank rounds. Like in theory, you get the concept, but you don't actually know if you're doing anything.
And that, that actually brings up a really kind of interesting sort of challenge for the Green Ajah, because they are the battle Ajah. They're the Ajah that is supposed to use the one power as a weapon to defend against the Dark One at the end of the day. And there's only so much you can do throwing fireballs. That's it. There's only so much you can do throwing fireballs. There's only so much you can do without being able to practice different ways of weaponizing the one power. So, the big moment that everybody likes to reference is when the Shanchan drop their assassins, and they drop their attack on the White Tower, just basically to see what would happen. And the Green Ajah is essentially worthless. They're essentially
there's not many there. Most of them left with the Blue Ajah.
Absolutely, 100%. There's not a lot of them there. But as the ones who have been training for this moment, quote unquote, for their entire lives, what happened? They fell short, right? Their capabilities, their expectations, they fell short. They did not perform as was expected of them. And
you have been tried, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting. There's your movie quote.
There it is. If you don't know what that one is, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
But so there's one green sister. She's on the ground. They're doing kind of like a retreat relief camps, and she's like, what is going on right now? And there's yellows running around. Yeah, Matt Stagger got it. Nice boy. There's yellows running around, healing people. There's browns running around saving different things, and there's a couple of greens that are setting up like triage units and retreat units. And this one green sister's like, what the hell are we doing? This is what our Ajah does. This is what we do. And then they go, and then someone goes, well, there's someone up on the 38th floor doing really great. Who? Egwene? The damn novice? Are you freaking kidding me? I know. She got.
If you think about it, the Green Ajah is the only Ajah that, by the oaths, is unable to practice their purpose-built weaves.
Exactly.
Everybody else can practice their purpose-built weaves, because using the one power to take and hold a male Chandler or a rogue female Chandler, and learning the weaves for stilling and gentling and these kind of things, that's not weaponized.
You can practice those things. You can say, this is how it's done. And
maybe that's why they like to be out and about so much. It's then if they're in danger, then they can actually practice what they've heard about in theory. But it seems like they wind up probably serving more of like a lot of countries have this habit of sending in military advisors to train other countries, operatives, and give guidance on military strategy. I imagine that's probably one of the big functions that the Green Ajah serves.
I would absolutely believe that they did a lot of battlefield studies, a lot of tactical and strategic studies. And as far as them going out into the world, that's very, samurai-esque. That's very Ronin. Now I'm a warrior in the Green Ajah. Excuse me.
Why don't they have a fob at Tarwin's Gap?
I'm sorry?
Why don't they have a fob at Tarwin's Gap? Why don't they have a forward base at Tarwin's Gap? Why is there not a fair concentration of Green Ajah sisters there?
I was thinking key fob.
No, not key fob. Forward
No,
operating
forward
base.
operating base. Yeah, no. Brain back. Okay.
Yeah, because Matt Stacker brought up too, like they could have trained where the Trollocs raid. Where did the Trollocs raid? Across the borderlands. Like, why is
That's
there
a
not
really great
a fair
point.
contingent? Like, I mean, yes, plot wise, it would have rendered part of book one, less impressive. It still would have been very impressive, but it would have dulled it a little bit.
I actually think to the opposite. I think it would have made the Trolloc horde more threatening to know that
As I said it, I felt more and more wrong as I continued saying it. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, just imagine 75 Green Aes Sedai there, and everybody's terrified of this force. It gives you an idea of how overwhelming the Trollocs are, and how just the sheer brute force of the Shadow Spawn. God, that would have been really great. And I like that they showed it. They did specify in the show. I have a love-hate relationship with how they handled it in the show, because Agelmar was so arrogant. We don't need your sisters here. You're not going to tell me what to do.
And they fell into the trap of seeing their presence as an insult to his capability.
Yeah.
You're only here because you think I can't handle it.
And so it actually kind of makes me think that they're not going to be doing a great captains in the TV show, because a great captain wouldn't fall for that. And in the book, when Moraine showed up and Lan showed up, Agelmar was like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for. We've been sending letters to the White Tower and nobody's responded." So I actually they kind of flipped that part on its head in the TV show, which I
mean, given Robert Jordan's history with military and combat, it is that this is the first time I'm thinking of it. It is incredibly surprising that there aren't at least contingents or small detachments of 20 to 30 Green Ajah sisters at least scattered
all along
throughout the borderlands.
All along the borderlands.
Because oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say because where else can you learn? Where else can you put into practice where everybody else can do it at the tower for the most part?
There is a mention, I can't remember which book it is, that there are Green Ajah sisters in the borderland, but there isn't a military structure, like you said, an FOB, which makes sense. But of course, how often do you read these books and go,
Wait, yeah.
That's the whole
See,
point,
that's what
right?
happened. They didn't have enough pogs to deal with everything, so they didn't deploy forces. There's a certain military that's learning that the hard way right now.
Slammer.
Like a slammer,
Throw your slammer on top of the pogs.
Okay.
We're old.
So am I.
Oh, I played
That's so
pogs
weird.
as a kid too.
Okay, this is how lame I am. I actually was in a pog tournament. Okay. I got 2 or 3 levels in.
Y'all,
So-
I think your nerdity is
Here's the other thing for all you old timers. The pog tournament was in the parking lot of the Montgomery Ward. Look that up, children. That was the cool place to be because they usually had cool stuff in it.
One of my favorite things was playing pogs with random people at Leighton Hills Mall, because there was a very large presence in the mall. But we digress.
Right.
Yes.
No, that really kind of is shocking. I hope in the future of the TV shows, Rafe, get this down, please, that other borderland nations do have Green Ajah contingencies in their cities, in their holds.
That would be I think that would be a great way to address the kind of how it's kind of mentioned, but not really fully fleshed out. Sure. And also boost up the effectiveness and the strength of the Faldaran troops. Because their whole thing is, we don't need help. We've got this.
Well, and it even throws in some kind of fun with, Saldea, with Taim, who comes in and says, haha, Saldean, you bastards, I got you. I can run away. I've got the power. It makes him scarier to have escaped from Green Ajah. I mean, that's part of what terrified us about Logain in the TV show, is that it took how many sisters to like take him down. And he had already captured all of Galedown, had the king fighting for him and everything.
Yeah. And, he only got recaptured because of an unforeseen,
Yeah.
once in a lifetime kind of wild card event of Nynaeve coming in and going somewhat
Going
Super
Super
Saiyan,
Saiyan.
somewhat Ultra Instinct, but healer version. Like, that's when you find out that your white mage has been holding a lot back.
Why haven't you been healing us this whole time, asshole?
Yeah, I'd be happy to heal you on one condition. What's my name? Say my name. It's Dende. What's that? So moving beyond like that potential kind of strategic oversight, or maybe it was in and it was just like, well, this doesn't add a ton to the stories, we're gonna edit it out, which I disagree, but
So this last meet was very profile forward. Once you started.
oh yeah, reviews of the meat. Yeah.
It really, you could start feeling the local honey that they use.
So this
not
is
too sweet, but not too bitter. Very good for a nice summer day.
so this next mead you're going to appreciate
Appreciate, yes.
because this is from a hive of bees that fed on citrus flowers, like a little like orange trees and some shit. Okay, you got a little bit more than I did. It's because you're my guest.
Okay, that works.
And so now keep in mind, this has not been flavored with anything. This is straight up just
We're just
honey.
we're getting
The honey
flavor from bees' butts.
from bees' butts.
Oh, that smells good. Oh, that's good.
Just honey.
Ooh, that's good.
Uh-huh. Mhm. So a good friend of mine, Kyla, she makes this. She has her own bees. She's the one that helps me with my beehive.
Yum, yum, yum,
If
yum.
you want to start a beehive here in Utah, you need to talk to her.
What you're saying is she's a
the
keeper.
best.
Hey!
Fun
I'll
of
see
the
myself
night
out.
goes to the Baijan Mahal. Okay, so where were we? Green Ajah. There should be contingencies all along the borderlands.
Yeah. For a
that's really
military
the only
oriented
place for
faction,
them
there's
to
a
be.
for a military oriented faction, like
That is the question.
yeah, as far as faction built or faction oriented purposes from the White Tower, like they might be in contention for the title of most ineffectual. Like, because even the Red Ajah goes out and gentles tons of male chandlers and captures false dragons. I mean, they do indeed capture and gentle Logain, as well as at least 2 other false dragons that we know of, probably more. Yeah. But there is a fan favorite character who never really gets to be in an Ajah, but considers herself to be of the Green Ajah. Even though by the time she makes this decision fully and is able to vocalize it, well, she makes the decision well before this happens, but
Right, but she wasn't able to get tested and accepted into the
she kind of jumps. She kind of jumps a grade there. It goes straight from accepted to, nothing too big, nothing too crazy. Just the Amerlin seat.
Just the Amerlin seat.
Yeah.
Just a jump,
Just
a little bit.
They're
They're like that person in your
Chug 'em,
office
chug 'em,
that's
chug 'em.
really great at coding, and they create all these codes for everybody, and then for some reason they're now the IT director. But you know what though? They do a great job.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But it's kind of one of those like, I would have really liked to have been be able to apply,
Maybe
but
maybe
great.
maybe one day.
One day,
Maybe
one day.
Another interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and finish your point with that. Sorry.
No, that was it.
That was it.
That is essentially a Egwene's Ajah.
Yes. Another
one she
fun fact.
belongs to.
Another fun fact about this is that there is another sister who was of the Blue Ajah.
Yep.
was stilled and expelled and then healed and was like, you know what?
Fuck it.
I'm here to fuck and fight.
Yeah.
Well, she was stilled and then she jailbroke.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But she came back and she was like, you know what? I want to have 3 or 4 warders. Let's get it.
Like, I'm gonna get it.
And we're talking about Lyanna Sharif, who was once keeper of the Chronicles with Suwan, and was stilled and deposed and expelled from the order. And yeah, she came back. When she came back, they kind of went, we've never done this before. I guess welcome back to being an Aes Sedai. You can retake your oaths and reapply.
As far as the Saladar Aes Sedai,
Yeah.
they were still held under their oaths.
Yes. They did. That didn't come up until Egwene was like, oh, and by the way,
Take your oaths.
Yeah.
come here.
It's also kind of interesting that she went from the Blue Ajah to the Green Ajah because the Green Ajah did play a part in her own being deposed and stilling.
I almost
Yeah.
wonder if
Much
there's
to
like
the-
some
Much to the
strategy
shock
there.
of the tower, or to a lot of Aes Sedai in the tower. I mean, we know that one of the Green Sisters that voted in favor of deposing Suan and Leon was Black Aja. The other one was just
chump.
convinced.
A chump.
Well, I mean, they had to have been chumps because Elida got everything done with the bare minimum quorum necessary to do it.
Yeah.
So everything who was there was either Black Aja, people who were strong armed, or chumps who just got strung along. So,
Well, in the words of Jack Sparrow, this is politics.
so
I mean, it is.
No, that's exactly what it is. And I also like that I'm really loving this parallel to the Green Ajah and like Samurai or Traveling Ronin. Like, I'm really digging this because you've got probably one of the strongest military forces scattered and just wandering aimlessly. Really no purpose, no direction. They're just kind of help out here, help out there, do a good deed here, do a good deed there. Check in with the Green Ajah every once in a while, make sure things are cool, and then just kind of keep doing what you do. And yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
the
and then
age of
speaking of
gateway-
cis,
in the age of gateways, that's great.
Yeah.
As you go, hey, it's time to come back. Sweet. You know, in the age before gateways,
Yeah.
traveling between any of the nations to the White Tower,
It poses a
like a
challenge.
3-month travel. You know, so
Yeah.
hey, last battle's happening.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, I better get back up there. And as we've seen with the time dilation, that's more like years.
Come, Shadowfax, show me the meaning of haste.
Yeah.
Still gonna be there in a month, bro.
Another notable Aes Sedai from the Green Ajah, Cat Swain. And in
Yes.
fact, the 10th known Green Sister to be made Amerlin, at least
That's
within the
true.
last millennia.
That is also true, yes. Made Amerlin against her will. Very much against her will.
Oh yeah,
I love
Yeah.
at the end of the like a memory of light, and they're like, by the way.
We
And
really
that
need
was-
your leadership.
And Cat Swain is like, yes, what do you want, child? And the Aes Sedai are like, you have been summoned before, they start she's like, oh no. No.
well, it's funny because they're like, they ask a question, and she's like, "That's a question for the Amerlin," and they're like, "Yes. Why do you think we're asking you?" And she's like, "Fuck."
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
And I want in the TV show, I want this scene to happen first off. And second off, I want someone to be like, oh no, you don't. You're not getting it out of it this time. Because there are other times in which she has been
tasked for that, and then she ran away.
yeah, they were like, no, we're going to nail her ass down. She's going to be Amerlin. And she was like, oh, am I? Woohoo! And just disappears, which had a lot of sisters wondering if she had rediscovered traveling, because nobody knows how the hell she disappears. She just
Yeah.
pieces out.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, she's definitely very, very skilled. Well, no, we know as readers that she didn't know traveling because she gets taught
Yes.
that by Soralia, I believe, with the wise
Yes.
ones, as like
Yes.
a hey, just to show that we're not, this is our earnest
I
deposit
won't-
on buying this house.
I won't give you water, but I will give you this super badass weave.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, so the Green Ajah has, we don't know a lot about their history. It's just like these kind of generic feelings about their history. I say generic. But during the Trolloc Wars, like the Green Ajah by itself was the counter to all of the Dreadlords. And
Yes.
their battles they weren't like, drastically one-sided battles. They were very close contention battles that resulted in many from both sides dying. And they were like these Green Ajah Aes Sedai were renowned for their bravery and their strength to the point that Dreadlords and Shadowspawn, when they saw and they could tell Green Ajah, shit their fur.
Well,
They were
let's go over here.
terrified.
Let's go over here.
Yeah. And so they were like, yeah, we're terrified. I don't fear much, but that scares me to the bone. But yeah, so you have this Asha that has this illustrious history, all these battle like accommodations. It's like it'd be like the equivalent of seeing like the 82nd Airborne, and then they all now work personnel jobs. You're just kind of like,
Fair
what
point.
happened? What happened? Like
You
you
know-
were the ones we called when the shit hit the literal fan. And now, if it's not signing my DD-214 to get out, I might as well leave you alone. And even that, I got to fight with you for months about.
It's interesting to note as well that when the Shanshan attacked the White Tower, now we already discussed that a lot
Yeah.
of them were not present for that. But with the 38 sisters, so you've got anywhere from 180 to 190-ish Green Ajah in the tower, or as Aes Sedai at this point in time. 38 of them are Black Ajah, so you remove them from the equation. Let's call it 40 to make the math easy, because I don't brain, I has dumb. So now you're looking at 140 to 150 Green Ajah. After that attack, you're down to 130, 140. I'd be interested to check the numbers and find out, like, per capita, how many Green Sisters were either killed or taken on that night, because that really only puts the range of the Shanshan battle. About 10-ish Green Sisters were killed or taken that night, which means no, they didn't mount up a good offense. They didn't reorganize and they didn't rebolster their front lines, so to speak. They didn't even really establish lines. They kind of ran around squawking. And by the time they were able to catch their breath, organize themselves, and start mounting a counterattack, the Shanshan were like, okay, cool. The element of surprise is gone. That's literally a retelling of Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay. The Japanese are the Shanshan. The White Tower is Pearl Harbor. And the second the U.S. Navy started to mount a counterattack, the second they started getting planes in the air, the second we started to reestablish control of the engagement, Admiral Yamamoto was like, nope, we have no longer have the element of surprise. We will retreat, head back home now. And it's one of the most effective surprise attacks in U.S. history, or in Japanese history, probably.
Which is funny because it's still considered a colossal failure.
On whose part?
On the part of the Japanese.
Well,
because the whole
in the
thing was
long
like,
run, yes. In the long run, yes.
well, even immediately, because Yamamoto is famous for saying that he fears they've only awoken a sleeping giant.
Exactly.
Because the main purpose of the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor was to destroy the Seventh Fleet's 5 or 6 carriers.
Yeah, it was
four
to
to 6.
the
I can't remember how
Pacific.
many.
It was to cripple the Pacific Fleet,
Mhm.
so that they would have a tactical advantage in the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah. And then none of the carriers are there. So that's kind of tantamount, like if we're only looking at the Green Ajah, to most of the Green Ajah not being at the White Tower.
Right.
So because they do come back, and they're definitely more effective coming out of the Rebel Tower than they are
Yes.
coming out of the White Tower. It's not by gulfs of different effectiveness, but they're still
Yeah.
more effective because they've had some semblance of practice with actually coming up with tactics to use against other channelers.
Sure.
You know,
Well, and
how
that's-
can we lay siege to the White Tower to force Elida out so that she surrenders the tower to us? I mean, it helps they got Gareth Bryn there, but
Yeah, well, yeah, Grandpa Gareth. This actually brings up another really great point, because in these engagements, the Green Ajah, anybody who's ever done any sort of like sparring or MMA or anything like that, like every once in a while, like what they call it, getting your bell rung. All right, someone will hit you, someone will knock the wind out of you, and it's just like, oh God, okay, I need a minute. We weren't supposed to be hitting hard, and they accidentally caught you with a hook or something, and you're just like, oh, okay, I need a minute. And it's called getting your bell rung. The White Tower got its bell rung. Like the Shanchan came in and said, we can do this anytime we want to. And the White Tower was like, shit, we are ill prepared. And if we are ill prepared for a small raid from the Shanchan, we are in big trouble with Tarman Gaiden bearing down upon us. And a lot of the Aes Sedai, so in a sense, you can also say that the Shanchan's raid against the White Tower served only to awaken a sleeping giant, because it forced a lot of the sitters in the White Tower to say, well, we can't ignore Elida anymore. Something has got to be done. We've got Egwene, who is already legally raised as an Amyrlin seat. We should pay more attention to her and see if this is something that we can back. This is something that we can get behind. And there is a specific interaction where she wins the respect of the Captain General of the Green Aes Sedai, of the Green Ajah in the White Tower. And she essentially gets tested by the heads and or sitters of each Ajah. And it's the Green Ajah that they start quizzing her. They're like, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? And Egwene is like, yeah, no, that's stupid. Or no, that's a great idea, except for blah, blah, blah. And she's got the benefit of being taught by Swan. She's got the benefit of being trained by the wise ones. She has the benefit of the old blood of Manetheren singing in her veins.
Just being a good person.
And she's got the benefit of being a decent human being and a regular bad bitch. Let's just say it. She's a bad bitch. I love Egwene. I don't care what anybody says. I love her.
And having the pattern behind her.
I mean, she does have them. Now, yeah, in the TV show, she's a Taviran as well.
This is a whole different discussion.
It is a whole different discussion.
She had the pattern behind her.
But the Green Ajah tests her, and at one point in time, they even kind of imply that we would totally accept you into a Green Ajah. I don't know why I channeled my Patrick Warburton for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Egwene, if you want to be in the Green Ajah, there's a place for you. You can sit right next to me.
You speak Chickman, right? I will say though, the Shanchan attack served two purposes.
Okay.
One was what you just said.
Yes.
It kind of kicked off the whole sleeping giant. Second, it allowed Brandon Sanderson to kill off Gawain.
well, and
Sorry,
third,
duck sauce packet boy.
Duck sauce.
it gave an easy out for removing the obstacle of Elida.
Yeah.
There's that too.
Because I'm sorry.
That was, in my opinion, that was probably my least favorite part of that whole attack. I loved the whole attack.
Oh yeah.
That was great, fantastic. It showed off Egwene.
How resourceful is Egwene?
And then just being able to channel this much. But guess what? Linking doesn't require a lot about channeling.
And it doesn't affect the sangria.
Yeah. It was fantastic. Great scenery, great imagery, all of that. Now, on the one hand, I love the fact that we get a scene where Elida wakes up in a bag and she's just yelling at like, let me go. I am the Almarin seat. It's like, oh, you baby.
That's so
baby.
cute.
Oh.
By the way, your name's not Elida anymore. Your name is, stupid.
But on the
little
second hand,
idiot
I'm just like,
bitch.
that was kind of, it was all, I wouldn't say anticlimactic, but it's not exactly how I wanted her to go.
But okay, in all seriousness, though, there is no worse fate.
True, but I don't want that fate for anybody, considering what Egwene went through. That is not a fate I would wish upon.
No, I get that, and that's the thing is to bring it back to the Green Ajah. Egwene scores major points with the Captain General of the Green Ajah. Not only with that engagement, because she's the only one inside the tower to mount a counteroffensive. And that alone right there, the Green Ajah's like, damn girl, get it? But it also, I kind of puts Egwene on their radar, I would say, because before that, she was a petulant child who was a pawn of the rebel Aes Sedai. And even the sister who is the most forgiving has to look at it like she was raised by rebels. Like, letting her back in as a novice is a kindness. She does not deserve to be here.
Well, up to that point, she had already made an impact on several systems.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and she had started to not Shiriam, the new mistress of novices, who went in for her daily spankings.
Yeah, so
yeah, whatever. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Man.
She had already started to make her mark, but when she did that, she really, she really started to impress the Green Ajah. And it was at that point in time, I want to say, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it was the Green Ajah was the only ones that went so far and was so bold as to say, you would have been green. Like, we will accept you as green. When you're raised to the shawl, come see me. Like, they're the only ones who are bold enough to actually say, you're green. You're coming with us.
Well, they're also the ones that really push the point of her going through the Aes Sedai testing.
Yes.
Because, like, being a more military or battle-minded faction, the hierarchy or the chain of command and the process to go through to achieve your ranks or your titles or whatever is incredibly important.
You got to earn your stripes. You got to earn. I will tell you this much right now. The worst place to be in the military, the worst position to be in the military, is a second lieutenant straight out of college. If you, and this goes to everybody watching, if you ever find yourselves as someone who is a college graduate who has accepted a commission into the military, just know you're gonna get it. Okay, they're gonna give you the business. You have to earn your stripes. You've got to earn your respect. And a lot of people don't like it. Well, I mean, put it to a personal situation. How many times
you can't come in with a chip on your shoulder?
Exactly. And put it in your own personal life, right? Imagine your job right now. Imagine them hiring a manager who knows absolutely nothing about your job and then comes in and tells you how to do your job a different way than you've been doing it this entire. It's annoying. It's frustrating. This is sort of the process that the Green Ajah has when they're like, if she's going to be the Amyrlin seat, if she's going to be Aes Sedai, if she's going to be one of us, we're going to hold her to that higher standard. It's not, I can see how it can be taken as bullying. And don't get me wrong, the line is very, very thin. I get it. But there is also a measure of requirement there. You must earn our respect. You must go through the same sort of struggle that the rest of us have gone through, and you must earn the right to be one of us. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, the line is very fine. Please don't take me, they're probably already got the 40% of my quote.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing.
Josh loves hazing. He loves beating people up in bathrooms. No, I do not.
That's the thing about it, right? Is everyone has to put in their time. We saw in New Spring. I know, Andrew, you haven't read New Spring, so you don't really know about this. So spoiler warning.
It
for
doesn't
that.
exist.
When Moraine and Swan became Aes Sedai, they admitted in the book it is a brand new experience for them. They started learning new things. It was school all over again, essentially, because what they trained before was just to make sure that they were safe in channeling. Everything else after that was essentially a cultural experience.
Yes.
They had to go through that. What the Salidar Aes Sedai did was take an accepted who's been out of the tower and made her Homerland seat. Like, and the specific reason for that was, well, she's not part of this, and also we can manipulate her.
Right.
Like, that was the reason. It wasn't because of like they thought that she would be good. They didn't think it was because like she wasn't taking part of this. If that was the case, they would have found some Aes Sedai out in the world that hadn't been in the tower forever.
Yeah.
Like that. It's because they wanted to control her. Otherwise, the purpose is there's a reason why we have our presidency limit in the United States has an age limit.
Yes.
We want someone who is at the very least put some miles on their soul. That soul limit is 35.
Yeah, yes.
Personally, at 35, I don't think I would run for president. I have too much shit in my background. But, we
6
want
more
someone
years, I'll run, and this entire podcast will be used in every campaign against me.
I was about to say.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Do you really want this guy to be in charge of the nuclear codes?
Like, I don't want, people don't want, like, they want people who have you've gone through the shit. So that way, they've seen this facet of life.
Yeah.
So they can lead other people through that facet of life. That is what an Almarin does. So of course, I read it and I was like, of course they would want to see this person go, oh, they passed these tests that we're giving them. Okay, that makes sense. They are wise. Why are the wise ones in the waste always defer to people who are being the wisest one in that situation? Because they are the wise ones. And so, yeah, anyways, I'm starting to ramble, but
No.
So,
It's a valid point. And I mean, it goes back to the point that the Green Ajah, I think the story was written really, really well at this point in time because, and if I'm wrong and you interpreted this differently, please leave a comment below and let me know. But my interpretation of this interaction is the Green Ajah says, we like you, we want you, but we will not have dead weight within our order. Within the Green Ajah, every woman must do her part and every woman must carry her own weight. And if you can't do that, we still don't want you. Yes, we respect you. Yeah, you're hella awesome. And we absolutely love what you've done so far. But you need to go through the steps and you need to show that that was not a single moment of clarity or a single moment of badassery. You need to show that this is who you are consistently. And I think I really love that particular interaction for that reason.
I mean, they recognize the potential, but they're like, there's still a process here. And this process like solidifies that your potential isn't just you can do things. It's you have the capability to evaluate and assess, and even in the hardest of circumstances that are typically emotional for a lot of these testings, that you're still able to maintain what makes an Aes Sedai an Aes Sedai. A calm, collected composure to see the task through. Even if the task is simple, is only as serious as getting out. Like, the way back up here comes only once.
Well, and again, we talked earlier about the Green Ajah studying strategy and tacticians and in tactical maneuvers and things like that. How many times in battle does the leader have to make the call to willingly and knowingly send someone to their death? I mean, it's a trope. It's a bit of a trope in modern pop culture I remember an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation when Counselor Deanna Troi is trying to get her bridge crew certification, and in the simulation, she has to send Geordi knowingly to his death to save the rest of the crew. Saving Private Ryan. There are countless, instances in that movie where someone said, "Okay, you're going to have to run that way. Draw their fire. Do your best to not gain any more holes, and we will try and kill this person as quickly as we can so that you don't die." Those are
How many times
calls-
does Matt practice it with the band?
Exactly.
So like you might die, but if we don't do this, the rest of us will die. And then again, like the emphasis on the basics, on drilling, on the simple parts, so that you can get to the most. I mean, that's tantamount for just about any group anywhere, whether it's like a sorority or fraternity, where you got to get the basics of like their kind of practices and traditions down to elevate or get higher in it, all the way to the military. You don't go into the military and the first thing they do is say like, here, plan a full-scale incursion.
Right.
The first thing they do is like, cool, we're going to teach you how to shave, and we're going to teach you how to stand at attention. Like, you're going to start with the basics, and you're going to hate it, except for the times where you get to laugh at fucking at some guy robo-walking or whoever robo-walking because they're thinking too hard about their arm swing. The shit's fucking hilarious. But everything starts with the basics, and that's the whole purpose of the tower. You start with the basics as a novice, and then you get tested to see, hey, can you meet the minimum standard of the accepted? Can you meet the bar we have set for these? And then if you can, then you go through, you get a ton more training, you get to learn a lot more higher level stuff, and then ultimately it's like, okay, can you meet the minimum bar to be an Aes Sedai?
Right.
And there is no exception.
And then when you get into the, specifically with the Green Ajah, yeah, they got their bell rung. They got their butts kicked a little bit at the Shanshan raid. But everybody gets their bell rung. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone gets their bell rung. Everyone takes a hit. Everyone is going to hit the mat at one point in time or another. Period. End of
Can
story.
you ring my bell?
Everybody hurt.
Everybody hurts
Yeah.
sometimes. What's impressive is I do not care if someone starts bragging to me, "Oh man, I've been in 10 MMA fights and I've never been hit." I'm not impressed. I'm not, because it takes one time to get your bell rung in a fight.
What's
and
the
you're
saying?
done.
What's the saying about like the whole knight in shining armor? A knight who has shiny armor has never had his metal tested.
Exactly. What's impressive to me about the Green Ajah is, it's real easy to point and say, yeah, they sucked and they lost and they did poorly. You're not wrong. That is a factual statement. They did lose. They did poorly. What's impressive about the Green Ajah is they learned from it. They took this moment of failure and they said, you know what? Not again. And we've talked at great length on this show about how the White Tower in general has a real problem with learning lessons, with learning from failures, with learning from different, situations where they should be learning and they're not. So to me, the Green Ajah, taking that as a learning experience is very, very impressive to me. I really like the Green Ajah and how they respond to that. And even kind of putting their faith in this really strange, but really capable novice who claims to be the Amyrlin when our current Amyrlin's kind of like stupid. And what are we going to do? This is a really tough place to be. And I really feel like they've got a lot on their plate. Tarman Guidance coming. More and more people are starting to see that. More and more people are starting to accept that. More and more Aes Sedai are starting to accept that, but nobody's really saying it yet. Except for Egwene, who's like, you are all stupid.
You know what else is really impressive about the Green Ajah? Morel Berengari, rather.
Yes.
Very impressive.
Morel is
Track
impressive.
record for saving warders from the death rage or whatever you want to call it.
She got that good. I'm sorry for that joke. A lot of times Green Sisters are because they have so many warders and they have so much experience with dealing through the warders bond. A lot of them are seen as being skilled in handling warders. Oh my god.
I mean, she had a lot of firsthand experience because she was a novice during the
Yes.
IL war.
Yes.
So, which more on her? Maybe we need to do later down the road, like when we're doing our background breakdowns, we can pick a couple sisters from different Ajahs and talk about them, because a lot of the characters, or most of the characters, or at least half the characters, whatever you want to look at, have really cool stories, but some people's stories aren't that long, either because they just fall out of import to the story, or they die, or whatever the case happens, or they come in very late towards the end, which is what everybody dreams of, not coming until the end.
Hey-oh.
But
I see what you did.
But yeah, I don't know.
So let's do this. Let's wrap this up. Final thoughts on the Green Ajah. Like, who wants to wrap it up first?
I think I'll go first. Mainly
Fact
because-
checker Mihail, wrap
mainly
up
because-
the Green Ajah.
For a couple of points. One is I did learn something new.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh shit!
Was the traveling, because I actually never looked up the Green Ajah on the encyclopedia. So the traveling around and the whole punishment thing,
Right.
which led to a discussion on this about whether or not the Green Ajah would be allowed to practice battle weaves,
Right.
which I've never actually thought about
Right.
because I figured, hey, whatever.
Well, that's why we do these shows.
So a lot of it is I have changed around. Now the Battle Ajah, the Green Ajah, it was a little bit ineffective. Not necessarily in the tower. I meant more in the last battle. And that's actually mentioned by Lyanna Sharif, that they are a bit ineffective.
Way to go, Adalorna Sadai.
Yep.
Adalorna at North Harbor Pod.
North Harbor Pod.
Go check out North Harbor Pod. If you don't know where it is, they'll draw
They'll
you
help
a
you
map.
find it. So they're ineffective. A lot of it is probably because of complacency or trying to learn how to keep warders from dying. But I've turned that around a little bit. So I forgive the Green Ajah a little bit from the books. They're still amazing. They've got some great characters. Alana is still is going to make a great impact on the TV show. It'll be very interesting to see how they handle some things. I think that they're still going to do it, in my opinion, but I think it might be slightly different. I think there might be and this might be just discussion for another show, but I think they're still going to do it, but they might tweak the situation a bit.
That seems to be consistent.
Yeah.
Andrew?
I partially kind of forgive the Green Ajah as well for their ineffectiveness, because they do seem to be the main Ajah that's restricted by the oaths from serving their kind of self-proclaimed purpose. I mean, that's how the Ajahs were formed. All these people got together and they were like, well, I want to take care of all the crazy channelers that are destroying the world. Well, we want to take care of finding out everything that's going on in the world. Well, we want to preserve history. And the Green Ajah was like, well, we want to be prepared to fight whenever that shit inevitably happens again. Prophecies, Tarmageddon, it's coming. It is not entirely their fault as an overall Ajah that they aren't prepared, that they aren't effective in what should be their shining moment. Like if your whole thing is we stand ready for Time and Gaiden, then I worry at what your definition of ready is. It's like saying you're ready. Yeah. It's like saying, oh, I'm ready for a tattoo, and going into the parlor with no money, no concept, no like anything, and you're like covered in like scabs and wounds or something.
Yeah, no.
Like you're not ready, you're not effective, and I think that again, for military oriented or war or fighting oriented groups, peacetime has a danger of breeding complacency. And I think that after the Aya War, that is a big part of what has happened to the Green Ajah. That there's this idea that is propagated throughout the rest of the Ajahs,
There
it seems,
was
as well.
an idea.
Except for the ones in the know, like Moraine and the Seekers and everything, that the last battle's far off. Oh, it's probably not going to be in our lifetime. So I think it did lead to that complacency. But then again, they are the only group that I can see that were very much directly, essentially barred from training for their purpose. So, yeah, I don't know. But overall, I mean, they have some of the like most like interesting characters that come out in the series. I mean, Morel is incredible. The scene where Nynaeve finally confronts Morel about Lan's bond, that's an iconic scene.
Yes.
Cat Swain is just iconic from start to finish. Alana, well, in the books, she's there. But
She gets a little
you
bit,
know,
I think she gets ganked unfairly in the end.
yeah,
But I think that may be more. Brandon Sanderson probably couldn't get it right at the end, so he just kind of feigned it.
I thought he did great. Anyway.
yeah. I mean, and then of course we include Egwene to some extent with the Green Ajah, that is still more of a testament to her rather than the Green Ajah, but at least they saw the potential.
They did.
We forgot one other main character, Green Ajah, that just kind of, defaulted into it. Do you guys know?
Adalorna?
No.
Adalorna Sedai
Just defaulted into the Green Ajah.
is Green Ajah.
Uh-huh.
Who defaulted?
We talked about Leon.
Oh, Elaine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
She didn't want to be in the Green Ajah. She just defaulted into it because that's just how tradition works.
That's a good point. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't
characters of note thinking about the end of the books.
So is that
one of my coworkers has really sold me on like this idea that Elaine like is pretty much done with like 85% of her purpose after like book 3. But that's a whole different topic.
Saying it. Anyway, we're not going to do Elaine part 7.
That's all I got.
Okay. Final thoughts on the Green Ajah for me. Again, the Battle Ajah.
Whoa. This is a
MorShadi's my
family-friendly
favorite neighbor.
channel. Keep it above the waist, guy.
It is above the waist. My hands are up here.
Oh, I thought I saw one dip down below.
No, you didn't.
No,
I promise.
that's for later.
Exploring the outback.
Now, the Green Ajah, what makes them distinctive is, again, they're the only Ajah who openly advertises that they're into battle. And they're the only Ajah who takes on more than a single warder. Now, I'm going to kind of go with MorShadi here, and I'm going to say, I never really thought about the fact that being a member of the Green Ajah is largely a case study of war, more of a case study of war and less of a practice of war. Throughout the books, we never see a contingent or a unit or as we said, a forward operating base anywhere in the borderlands filled with Green Sisters. And as a matter of fact, when Lan and Moraine show up to Faldara in the end of the Eye of the World, there are like one or two other Aes Sedai there, I think. And Moraine's like, yeah, I don't want to talk to him. Like, it was like, no, I don't really care to talk. I'm kind of doing my own thing right now, and the last thing I need is their business up in my business. So I would say that the big failing in the books of the Green Ajah is having this sort of like, they misrepresented themselves, because in practice, in study, what they actually did was more of the theory of combat, which is great for tactics. It's great for strategy, but it's not great for putting yourself into that position of combat. It's not great, as a samurai would wake up each morning and meditate upon the violent nature of their own death, so that when they face it, it will not be something new to them. I feel like the Green Ajah missed that part. Somehow they established, throughout the years, they established the idea that they would be leading the battle. And so they didn't really need to hone their practice with the one power until the Shanshan came and rang their bell. And they went, studying the theory of war is not enough. Overall, I really love the Green Ajah. It's given us, like I said, it's given us a poly thruple, which I'm still geeking out over because I love it. It's also given us probably the biggest example of Aes Sedai learning from their mistakes, actually having a bit of humility and saying, we lost. The fact is, we were soundly beaten, and we need to figure out how to not let that happen again. So I'm a huge fan of the Green Ajah. I'm a huge fan of their interaction with Egwene at the end of the series. And, Adalorna, tell your sisters to keep up the good work. And, if you guys want to come over to the Black Tower, maybe bond a few Ashaman.
Not me.
All right. Well, we've come to the end of another episode. You have fully been dispensed your weekly dose of taint. We hope you have found it enjoyable. Appreciate what you get. After you turn this off, you need to go to blacktowerpod.com. It's your one-stop shop for all Black Tower podcast needs. If you want to see events that are coming up, look at our calendar. If you want some of our merch, go to our merch links. If you want to see any of our social medias, there's the place to find it all. Go follow us. Leave a comments. What did we miss about the Green Ajah? What did we say right? What did we get wrong? Leave a comment below. Let us know. And, I will say this, Daniel, our Amin Khan Mahale, normally we like to say something like, oh, we missed his presence, but that bastard is partying at Mardi Gras right now. And so, yeah, have fun, buddy.
Yeah. Come back with lots of beads and stories of how you got them.
Oh, hey.
We started a podcast so you don't have to be out here shaking it for beads.
You don't have to be a prostitute. No. You can say no to being a manho, a male gigolo.
I mean, he is kind of a manho.
I mean, he is kind of.
I mean, he's an
Aren't we all a bit of a manho?
No.
I mean, when there's beads involved, no, that's too open of a statement.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you much for being awesome. And we hope that you've left this episode just a wee bit more insane than you were when you first got here. So from all of us at the Black Tower, I have been your sort of on Mahale, Josh.
I have been your fact checker, Mahale, Robert.
And I have been your Bajan Mahal, Andrew. And as Daniel loves to say, we hope you're having a fantastic morning. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I think he says it in that exact way, too.
Go fuck
Yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Love you.
Wait, is he from Jersey all of a sudden? Hey, go fuck yourself.
We love you. We'll see you next week.
much trouble, just fitting.